Reflect in English podcast.
Welcome to our podcast. Today we're going on a super fun trip around the world. We're going to talk about food, but not just any food.
No, definitely not. We're talking about the truly wild, wonderful, and yes, sometimes a little bit weird foods that people absolutely love.
Exactly. We all think our own food is normal. Right. But what one person finds totally yummy, another might think is, well, really strange.
That's the fun part. We're going to explore how our taste buds can actually learn new things and why these unique foods are so important to the people who eat them. Get ready for some amazing stories and maybe a few surprises.
Okay, let's dive right in. Let's start with something that might make your nose wrinkle a bit. We're heading to Sweden to talk about something called surströmming.
Yes, surströmming. This is a very special kind of fermented fish, like herring. It comes in a can that often looks a bit puffy, actually.
Puffy, okay.
Yeah, from the gases. And when you open it, whoa, the smell is super, super strong. A lot of people, especially if they're not from Sweden, find it really hard to even be near.
I've heard stories, but wait. In northern Sweden, people have big outdoor parties just to eat this stuff.
They do. They call them surströmmingsskiva. They have it with thin flatbread, potatoes, onions, butter, the works. It sounds crazy, maybe, but think about it. It was originally a way to keep fish good through the long, cold winters, before fridges.
Ah, okay, necessity. Makes sense.
Exactly. And now it's a taste they really love, salty and tangy and, well, very unique. It kind of teaches us that weird is often just a flavor your tongue hasn't met yet.
A flavor your tongue hasn't met yet. I like that.
Okay,
from Sweden, let's fly over to Japan for something called shirako.
Right, shirako. The name literally means white children, which might sound a bit odd already.
Yeah, what exactly is it?
It's a very special part of fish, often cod. It's the fish's milt, or sperm sacs. Now, I know for many people that might sound very unusual.
Totally. That sounds really out there for a lot of us.
But here's the thing. In Japan, they have this amazing appreciation for different textures in food. Shirako is loved because it's really creamy, almost like a soft custard or panna cotta.
Creamy, huh? Not what you'd expect.
Not at all. People say it tastes very delicate, almost like a fancy cream. It really shows how Japanese cuisine often uses every single part of the animal, and you can find these beautiful, subtle flavors in really surprising places.
Fascinating. Okay, sticking with Asia. We really can't talk about surprising foods without mentioning balut from the Philippines.
Oh, absolutely. Balut. This is a fertilized duck egg. It's cooked when the little duckling inside is partly grown, usually around maybe 16 to 21 days old.
Right. And for many visitors, just seeing it can be a lot to take in. You can actually see parts of the duckling.
It can be visually striking for sure. But in the Philippines, balut is a super popular snack. You can buy it right on the street corners, especially at night.
So it's like normal street food.
Totally normal. It's packed with protein, very rich in flavor. They even say it can give you energy. The way you eat it is part of the experience too. You crack the top, sip the warm broth inside,
Okay.
and then you eat the yolk and the soft developing duckling. Look, if you grew up only eating, say, scrambled eggs, it might seem really strange. But it's a normal, comforting food.
Yeah.
Deeply part of the culture.
It really shows how much normal depends on where you are. Okay, let's keep going. How about Africa? I hear there's some clever food stuff happening there.
Oh, absolutely. So much ingenuity. For example, in Uganda, they eat ensign, which are grasshoppers.
Grasshoppers, like the jumping kind.
Yep. Longhorn grasshoppers. They usually fry them up with onions and spices. And people say they taste kind of like shrimp or maybe crispy chicken skin.
Wow, okay. Shrimp or chicken skin, I could maybe try that.
They only come out twice a year during the rainy season, so they're actually a special, exciting treat people look forward to. And over in Nigeria, also during the rainy season, people roast termites.
Termites too.
Yeah. They catch the winged ones when they swarm. Roasted, they become crunchy and nutty.
It might sound strange to some of us eating insects.
Well, many scientists are actually looking at this, eating insects, or entomophagy, they call it. They think it could be a really smart, sustainable way to feed everyone in the future. Lots of protein, less impact on the environment than, say, beef.
So what seems odd now might be totally normal later on.
Interesting. Let's go to Sardinia, Italy for casu marzu.
Ah, casu marzu, the infamous maggot cheese. This is a sheep's milk cheese that actually has live maggots in it. on purpose.
Live maggots. You're kidding. Why?
Well, the little maggots, they're the larvae of the cheese fly. They help break down the fats in the cheese. Their digestion makes the cheese extra soft, almost creamy or liquidy, and gives it a very strong, sharp, spicy taste.
Okay, but the maggots are still wiggling when you eat it.
Oh, yeah, they can even jump. It's quite an experience. Now, the European Union has actually banned the sale of this cheese because of health concerns, live insects and all that. I can imagine.
But people in Sardinia still make it and eat it, often secretly. For them, it's not just about the taste. It's a huge part of their heritage, their old traditions, their identity. It's about pride, resisting rules they think don't understand their culture.
Wow. Food is cultural defiance. Intense. Okay, let's hop over to the Americas. What do we find there? Mexico has Eskimos, right?
Yes, Eskimos. These are ant larvae, like tiny baby ants, or maybe they're pupa found in the roots of agave plants, the same plants used for tequila.
Ant larvae. Yeah.
But get this, they call them insect caviar. That changes things a bit, doesn't it?
Insect caviar. Okay, yeah, that sounds much fancier. How do they taste?
When you cook them, maybe sautéed with butter, garlic, and some local herbs like epazote, they apparently have a texture kind of like cottage cheese or maybe couscous, and a nutty, buttery taste. They're considered a real delicacy, quite high-end.
From maggots to caviar.
Yeah.
What a journey. And what about Peru? I think I know this one. Key.
That's the one, PD or guinea pig?
Okay, this one is tough for a lot of people outside South America because, well, guinea pigs are often pets.
Exactly. That's a huge cultural difference right there. But in the Andes Mountains, Peru, Bolivia, Ecuador, people have eaten guinea pigs for thousands of years. It's a traditional food source raised like we might raise chickens.
So it's just meat.
It's a good source of protein. Pretty healthy, actually. For people there, it's just a normal meal, part of their diet for generations. Not strange at all in that context. It really highlights how culture decides if an animal is a friend or food.
As we're talking about all these foods, you really start to see it, don't you? What we call strange or weird often just depends entirely on where we grew up, our background.
Precisely. It's all relative. If you grew up eating something, it feels normal, comforting even.
Yeah.
If you didn't, it feels new, maybe a little scary. The smell, how it feels in your mouth, the texture, even just how it looks. All these things totally change how we feel about a food.
Okay, let's take durian. That spiky fruit from Southeast Asia. Oh, the smell. People describe it, well, pretty strongly.
They certainly do. Some say it smells like old onions or rotten eggs or even sewage. The smell is powerful and lingers. Some hotels even ban it.
Banned from hotels.
But in places like Malaysia, Thailand, Indonesia, durian is called the king of fruits. People adore it. They love its rich, creamy inside and its complex taste. It can be sweet, savory, maybe even a little bit bitter or alcoholic tasting all at once.
Wow. King of fruits.
Yeah. They hold festivals for it, spend lots of money on special varieties. For them, loving durian is like being a real food expert. It shows taste acquisition is a real thing. You can learn to love these strong flavors.
Or what about hakkarl from Iceland? That's fermented shark, right?
That's right. And the story behind it is fascinating. The Greenland shark, which they use, is actually poisonous when it's fresh. It has high levels of chemicals that can make you really sick.
Poisonous. So how do they eat it?
Well, the Icelanders figured out this amazing process centuries ago. They bury the shark meat in the ground for months, letting it ferment. Then they hang it to dry for several more months. This breaks down the toxins.
Okay, so it's safe then. But the taste?
The result is intense. Very strong smelling, often described as smelling like ammonia or very, very strong cheese. The taste is similarly powerful. Some tourists have said it tastes like rotting cleaning supplies.
Oof. I've seen celebrity chefs on TV gagging trying to eat it.
Me too. But for Icelanders, hakkarl is so much more than just food. It's a symbol of their history of survival, of how tough and clever their ancestors were to live in such a challenging place. Eating it is like connecting with that past. It's a real badge of national pride.
So when you look at all this, why do people actually enjoy these foods that seem so challenging to outsiders?
Yeah, that's the core question, isn't it? I think it boils down to a few key things. First, like we saw with surströmming and hakkarl, it often started with necessity. People had to figure out how to eat what was available.
Right. Survival first?
Then there's culture. Over time, what was needed became a tradition, part of celebrations, part of who they are as a group. It gets woven into the fabric of society.
Mm-hmm. And the third thing?
It's psychology. Our brains are amazing at making connections. We link tastes and smells to memories, especially good ones like family gatherings or feeling like you belong. Think about your grandma's cooking.
Oh, yeah. Best food ever, even if it was simple.
Exactly. Even if it wasn't fancy, it tastes like heaven because it brings back happy feelings, feelings of safety and connection. Our brains learn that these special foods aren't dangerous. They're about community, about us.
That makes so much sense. Okay, now let's think about today's world. Things are changing so fast, aren't they? The line between weird and normal seems blurrier.
It really is. Think about sushi. Not that long ago, maybe just a generation or two back in many Western countries, the whole idea of eating raw fish seemed, well, pretty weird. Maybe even a bit risky or gross to some people.
Definitely. People worried about getting sick.
Right. But now, sushi places are everywhere. You can grab sushi rolls at the grocery store for lunch. What was once weird and exotic is now totally mainstream, even seen as healthy and cool.
That's so true. It happened pretty fast.
And look at kimchi, the spicy fermented cabbage from Korea. It used to be seen as maybe too strong, too pungent for people not used to it.
Yeah, that strong smell and spicy kick.
But now, it's everywhere. People talk about its health benefits, the probiotics. You find kimchi on burgers and tacos mixed into scrambled eggs. It's gone from niche ethnic food to a trendy health food.
And things like social media must play a part too, right? Seeing videos of people trying stuff.
Oh, for sure. When you watch a travel vlogger eating fried tarantulas in Cambodia or maybe trying snake wine in Vietnam, it kind of makes these foods less scary and more interesting. It sparks curiosity.
Yeah, it makes you think, maybe I could try that.
Exactly. But it's really important to approach this with respect, you know? We shouldn't be trying these foods just to make fun of them or for shock value. It should be about trying to understand the culture behind them. Sharing food is such a powerful way to connect with people and learn about the world.
That's a great point. Respect is key. And, let's be honest for a second. We have some pretty weird things in our own cultures, if you stop and think about them.
Totally. Like, think about wine. It's basically fermented, aged grape juice. If you described it like that to someone who'd never heard of it, it might sound odd.
Or beer. Fermented grain water, essentially.
Or coffee. We take these beans, roast them dark, grind them up, and pour hot water over them to drink the brown liquid. Mostly for the caffeine effect. If you describe the process, it sounds just as strange as anything else we've talked about.
You're right. It really shows that weird is often just about how you frame something, isn't it? The words you use.
Absolutely. Like we said with Eskimos, ant eggs sounds kind of creepy, but insect caviar sounds fancy and intriguing. Language totally shapes how we see food.
So as we wrap up our deep dive today, what have we really learned from this amazing food adventure?
Well, I think we've learned that what people often call weird food isn't really weird at all. It's just food from a different place with a different story. It tells us about how people survived, how they celebrated, how they found incredible flavors in the most surprising places. It's human creativity on a plate, really.
I love that human creativity on a plate. So the next time you see something that looks totally different, maybe a spiky durian fruit in the market, or you read about crunchy grasshoppers, don't just automatically say, ew, gross.
Yeah, maybe just pause for a second. Ask yourself, who loves this food? Why do they love it? What story does it tell? And maybe, just maybe, what would it actually be like to try it? You might find out your taste buds are way more adventurous than you think.
Maybe, just maybe, weird food is just food you haven't made friends with yet.
Exactly. And once you do make friends with it, you'll find the world is so much more delicious, amazing, and interesting than you ever imagined.
So the final thought is,
be curious, be brave, and hey, maybe take a bite. You never know what you might discover.